All right, it's Friday night. I should have been home a long time ago, but I started playing around with HLS video and imagining how it might look if we incorporated it into podcasting. Now, inside the Podcast Standards Project, we've been talking about this, and I was just trying to figure out a proof of concept. So using Cloudflare Stream, I uploaded this video here, and Cloudflare Stream encodes it and everything. It's not that much, actually. It's an extra $5 for how many I get. I can't remember how many streaming minutes I get, but and then it gives you this HLS manifest URL right over here. And so from this, I created this sample RSS feed with the alternate enclosure. So this is what we're proposing inside of the Podcast Standards Project, is that in order to do video, you would have let me just zoom in here. You would have the standard audio enclosure here. So podcast apps could just use that for the audio version. But if you include this part here, this alternate enclosure with a link, you can see that I've linked to that Cloudflare HLS manifest URL right here. A podcast app that supports it would then be able to show you video. And I've got this whole demo set up here. So you could watch it right here, of course. Adam, is there other ways you're using it? But that's just to show you that there's a video here and give you links to the RSS feed, like I mentioned. And so you can view the GitHub repo and just to explain a little bit more about what that looks like and link to the Podcast Standards Project blog post where we go through all the history on this. Okay, but now here is what's so cool about all of us in the Podcast Standards Project working together, collaborating, is I sent an email to everybody here on a Friday night. So I just sent an email to everybody in the project and with a link to everything. And then I hear back from Oscar Mary right away, who is the founder of Fountain, the Fountain podcasting app. And in the email, he says, we've just released a new version of the Fountain app that supports HLS video via the alternate enclosure. And so I had to download it via test flight, and I want to show it to you right now. This is so exciting. It's like just instantly we're demoing this here. All right, so here is the Fountain app. I've just pulled up that episode, and now listen, I can play this. Can you hear this?
More skeptical than I am now.
So that's playing the audio, but watch what happens when I open it up here. So here's listening to the episode, but then I can open it up like this.
Like one-shotting things and vibe coding things.
Look at
me,
this.
That feels like bullshit.
I can switch to the audio version.
Not interesting. To me, it felt like, okay, I like.
And then if I want to switch back to video, I click on this.
Not program.
Are you seeing this? This is so cool.
Especially when
this is exactly the implementation I was dreaming of. Sorry, let me just mute that. This is exactly the implementation I was hoping for, that a podcast player would be audio first. I've got my show notes here. I've got everything the way a normal podcast would look. I mean, I can even go back. Here's the actual podcast on Fountain. And if I click through on the episode, it loads up my show notes and everything. But if I open up this, I'm in video mode. This gives a listener or consumer the same ability to switch between audio and video that they have in, for example, Spotify right now. This is what I would love to see Apple Podcasts and everybody else implement. This UI, look how nice that is. It just seamlessly switches between them. So, for example, maybe I'm listening to the podcast on my walk home from work, but maybe they're referencing something in the video and I just want to switch to the video momentarily. I can open it up and switch from the audio version to the video version. And now I can watch the video and go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's what they look like, or that's what they're motioning towards, whatever is happening on the screen. But then I can also just switch back to audio mode. Now, of course, the other thing is maybe I get home and then I want to put this up on my Apple TV. Well, I can AirPlay it to my Apple TV and watch it from the couch. And here's a good example of something on screen that I wouldn't be able to see, obviously, if I was listening to only the audio version. So this is so exciting for me. This is exactly the kind of innovation I was hoping to see inside the open podcast ecosystem and with the podcast standards project. And to have this kind of synergy happen in real time and to see that Oscar and the team at Fountain have delivered so perfectly on this promise and the user experience and the UI, and it's just all working together already. Already, HLS video streaming that gives podcast creators and podcast consumers an alternative to the big centralized platforms like YouTube. Now we can do podcast video that's streaming. It doesn't download the whole 2 gigabyte file to your device. It's streaming in chunks, and it just works so seamlessly. This is so awesome. And as you can see, I'm just really excited about this and to see this implemented in other applications. So definitely go check out this project on the Podcast Standards GitHub. If you've got things you'd like to suggest, you can do that there. And also head over to podstandards.org and check out this blog post I wrote on why we're doing this. From speaking to creators, we know that creators want to publish their podcast everywhere. And now they want to do video as well. And so certainly they want to see that video on YouTube, but they also want to see it anywhere people get their podcasts. And this kind of experience where the listener can switch between listening to the audio and watching the video, this should be in every podcast app. It should be in Pocket Casts. Fountain already has it in their newest test beta. True fans, let's put this everywhere. Apple Podcasts. Apple invented this technology, HLS. There's no reason that they shouldn't also support this instead of that old, outdated paradigm of having separate video podcast feeds where you have to download the whole video file. This is the future. And I'm just really excited here on a Friday night to see this kind of manifest itself in real time.